By political ideology, 70% of liberals are voting Zohran Mamdani, and the conservatives are 40% on Curtis Sliwa, and 23% of conservatives are going for Zohran Mamdani. Wow. 23% of conservatives are voting for Zohran Mamdani. What the My man is popping, dude.
Well, now to the race for New York City mayor, and the gloves are off between Democratic candidate Zohran Mamdani and former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani is on the defensive tonight after Cuomo attacked Mamdani for living in a $2,300 a month rent-stabilized apartment in Queens while earning more than $140,000 a year as a state assembly member. Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett is live tonight at City Hall with much more. NJ.
All right, Liz, let's face it.
I mean, it was inevitable that we would move on from socialism means no house to socialism means no apartment.
Mamdani would much rather talk about President Trump than get drawn into a political football game over his apartment in Queens. But it has left him with some explaining to do.
What? Bro makes $140K as a state assembly member, and he's living within his means. Like, what the? How is this even a story? This is even dumber than people being like, Hasan, you bought a home for yourself and your family, you goddamn hypocrite. Socialism means no house. I hope at a certain point people would just realize that, like, none of these are real arguments. You're worse than him. Yeah, exactly. I'm a much worse person than Zohran Mamdani, who is a 33-year-old Muslim socialist who's also currently getting attacked for his choice of living quarters. Very different. You're right. I agree. My favorite division now is no longer the people who are like, I love AOC and I hate Bernie, or I love Bernie and I hate AOC, which is very common. It's the I love Zohran, I hate Hasan. He's just sucks so bad. I love Zohran Mamdani. I hate Hasan. It's just interesting to see the exact same lines of attack. People in chat saying 140K isn't a lot for New York. Yes, it is. But that being said, what is the argument from the media that he isn't paying enough for an apartment? Americans love living far beyond their means and living with no saving. Yeah, 140K is decent money for New York City. And it seems like he has a really good living quarters for $140,000. But like, how is that his fault? Like, he's literally running for mayor to fix the problem. like if this wasn't one of his policies, I get it. I get why you could be like, oh, dude, you literally are advocating for, I don't know, no rent stabilization whatsoever, and you living in a rent stabilized apartment. What a hypocrite. That makes sense. This literally wants rent stabilization. He's living his truth. It's crazy because, like, I know that $2,300 a month is a steal for New York, right? It's a steal for LA. Depending on how big the apartment is, it's probably a steal for New York. What is crazy is that $2,300 is a steal. That is crazy. This situation is, we have to fix it.
I live rent-free in his head.
Zohran Mamdani says Andrew Cuomo doesn't get it and made no apologies for living in his rent-stabilized one-bedroom in Astoria, Queens, while earning $142,000 as a state lawmaker. Yesterday, the former governor, now campaigning as an independent, said Mamdani is gaming the system.
I think rent-stabilized units, when they're vacant, should only be rented to people who need affordable housing, not people like Zohran Mamdani. And I'm going to call it Zohran's Law because it's an abuse of the system.
Nearly 1 million apartments are rent stabilized, rates set by the Rent Guidelines Board. The median stabilized monthly rent is $1,375. Mamdani says his rent is $2,300. Cuomo is renting a market rate apartment in an East Side high-rise for $7,800.
What do we...
Oh, hell. Oh, my God, bro. Brother, oh brother, are we for real, dude? Oh my God. Oh, I can't wait for the dumb to chirp and be like, well, Andrew Cuomo is not a socialist, so he can be a awful asshole and we will like him because Zoran is a socialist. Zoran, Map Daddy, he's a socialist. We hate him.
Know about this policy proposal beyond the fact that it seeks to evict me from my apartment.
Unless you're wealthy, it's basically impossible to find or stay in a home that you can afford.
Mamdani won the Democratic nomination, squarely focused on affordability. He says he moved into his apartment when he made less than $50,000 and that he always intended to move out. But he opposes needs testing.
It is a larger question of how do we ensure that each and every New Yorker can live those same lives of 10, 20, 30, 40 years where they pay their rents and they know what their rent will be next year, what their rent will be.
I'm pretty sure he said he got the apartment before he was making $140K a year. At the time, he didn't even know it was rent stabilized. This is like getting mad at you for your home's value, presumably having gone up since you bought it. Okay, but people do get mad at me for my home's value going up since I bought it. Sometimes they just make shit up about the value of my home going up.
2 years from now.
Tenant advocates say needs testing is, quote, a backdoor plan to gut it, ensuring that the people who keep our city running, teachers, grocery clerks, delivery workers, nurses, get pushed out. Mayor Adams suggested Mamdani should live elsewhere, but blamed Cuomo for making it necessary.
He's complaining about who's in the apartments, and they are high-income earners. He was the one that created this.
And Mamdani continues to meet with the city's power brokers. The Association for a Better New York says theirs today was, quote, a productive first meeting. Live tonight at City Hall, NJ Burkett, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
4 years ago, Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
Inappropriately touched a female state trooper.
Use of state resources for a COVID-19 memoir.
Less well known is what he spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary. In 2022, Cuomo started Innovation Strategies LLC to represent individuals and corporations in a variety of matters. Definitely not vague. Last year, it raked in more than $500,000. Who paid for Cuomo's services? He refuses to say. But what journalists have been able to piece together is troubling. In April, Bloomberg revealed that Cuomo advised a cryptocurrency exchange based in the Seychelles as it faced federal investigations. Then in May, Politico reported that Cuomo failed to disclose $2.6 million in stock options to the New York City Conflicts of Interest Board. His excuse? The stocks were technically owned by Innovation Strategies LLC, of which he's the sole proprietor. Finally, in June, the New York Times uncovered that Cuomo had worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas' previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean? Jeffrey Epstein.
We had a finance chair like none other, Andrew Farkas.
That's the thing about Andrew Cuomo. Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another, and then another, and then probably another. But if my friend, the disgraced former governor of the state of New York, feels that's unfair, Habibi, release your client list.
A key progressive voice in the reddest of red states. Senator Bernie Sanders is spending this congressional recess back on what he calls his Fighting Oligarchy tour, trying to help Democrats find their footing among working class Americans and reclaim power next November. I hit the road with the senator in West Virginia as he took his message to the heart of Trump country.
It's good to be with you here. We're in Wheeling, West Virginia, and it's so fascinating that this is part of what you call your Fighting the Oligarchy tour, because this is a state where Donald Trump got 70%.
Really?
70%.
Not tonight.
Well, yeah, and this was an auditorium that was packed. It was at capacity. Still, what makes you think that your message tonight is going to resonate in such a red state?
Well, among other things, when I ran for president, I think here in West Virginia, we won every single county. Look, this is a working class state. It's one of the poorest states in the country. People are hurting, and they want candidates to come before them to stand up for the working class and take on the oligarch.
What's the point of Bernie doing this? Doing all this with the large gatherings that people lead to nothing? I said this in the beginning. I think Bernie Sanders' method here is to try and get the rest of the Democratic Party to pay attention to what he's doing, because there's a lot of mobilization taking place and there's a lot of momentum. I still also repeat that it's not enough. It's not enough. I think you should be, instead of just like simply raising awareness or having like a cathartic meetup where everyone's just like, oh man, shit sucks. I wish Bernie, maybe his age won't permit him to do this, but like I wish he would just like mobilize people in the direction of issues, right? Issue specific mobilization, I think. Having rallies directed towards like ICE apprehensions, having rallies directly against, I don't know, Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. Obviously, that second part probably not going to happen anytime soon, but like, do you see what I mean? Sam Harris trashed Bernie for the no oligarchy tour. No surprise there. Yeah, Sam Harris. The goal is to activate leftist non-voters into becoming voters in the Democratic primaries. It's not raising awareness for the Democratic establishment. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's that sinister, man. I don't have the same attitude that you guys do. I don't think Bernie Sanders is like shepherding a wave of support into the Democratic Party deliberately or by design or anything like that. I think what you see is what you get. There is no reason to assume that Bernie Sanders is somehow behaving in a sinister way or a cynical fashion. Okay? Like, I think the reason why he's doing this as an old man is because he wants, my assessment of it is that he wants the Democrats, the establishment Democrats, to pay attention to his part, his style of politics. I think it's foolhardy. I think it's naive. I don't think it's going to work. Okay? I just don't. I think it's a foolhardy endeavor, which is why there is a lot of momentum here. And this mobilization should be directed at issues. Okay? It should be directed at specific issues. It's not. At least he's showing support to progressive candidates in these areas as well. I think he's just, the other thing is I think he's encouraging or he's trying to encourage people to run for office. He wants people like-minded people to run for office as well and to change the structure from within. So that's how I feel about this entire process. I wish that he would do more. I wish he would do it directionally. Like, I wish he would do it in an issue-specific way. And I wish he'd have more smoke, but the expectation from a 800-year-old man is it's going to be limited. No universe where Zoran at AOC exists without Bernie doing these kinds of things. I don't disagree with you. Zoran himself would openly admit that. Like, Bernie Sanders was an influential figure in his political development, and he ran for office because of Bernie. It's true. You say you wish you did more. Why don't you run? I mean, don't you feel like I am doing? I want Bernie to do more things like in the venues that I'm doing things at. Like, I want him to do more of the type of stuff that I'm doing, which is to try to mobilize people, to actively get them to go out and protest, engage in issues specifically. You see what I mean? You want him to Twitch stream without gaming? Yes, that's what I mean. No, I mean, like, go out and do one of these rallies, not just like for the sake of doing a Stop Oligarchy tour rally, but instead, like, I wanted Bernie and AOC to do a rally outside of the detention facility where Mahmoud Khalil was being imprisoned unjustifiably. I think that would have been a banger. I mean, it would have been a difficult logistical undertaking because it's like 4 hours away from all, right? But that's what I wanted him to do. That is, I thought that would have been a much better way to organize. Why are you guys saying lol? I mean, it's true. It's literally, that's not an unreasonable demand. I think that was a perfectly reasonable demand. Bernie made it possible for socialism to even come back into the conversation in America. People don't remember or how it was like before Bernie. That will be his historical contribution to American politics. Beyond that, it seems like it's not going to go any further. I agree. Yeah, a rally in that location is just not feasible. Sorry. Okay, do a rally in Louisiana, okay, in New Orleans, and make the rally issue specific about the demand to release Mahmoud Khalil. Problem solved. I recognize that it's 4 hours out from anything else. New Orleans is not. instead of just like a broad stop oligarchy tour, that I think is issue specific. That's my point. Believe me, we try both. Yeah, I know. Didn't 2008 have people talking about anti-capitalism before Bernald? Yes, of course, socialism has always existed. That chatter is just simply saying that Bernie Sanders mainstreamed the open way to be a socialist and a politician at the same time and still garner tremendous support in a way that had not happened in years. At what point do we admit the Democratic Party can't be reformed? As soon as progressive figures come to power, their message gets diluted or sidelined into oblivion? We'll see. We'll see. When Bernie came to LA, I worked with the DSA to try and organize people that came to the rally. Bernie gave them space at the rally, but they should have been headliners. If he really wants to push Demstock politics, he needs to start making it about organizations, not single politicians. I agree with that as well. I think like organizations outside of the scope of the Democratic Party are very important in terms of mobilizing sometimes against the Democratic Party to force them to take the right positions. If they won't do it, themselves, we'll force them to.
Who have so much economic and political power. So I think the message will resonate here. I think it'll resonate in many red states throughout the country, because at the end of the day, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't want to see tax breaks for billionaires. They don't want to see the rich get richer. They want health care.
Just got into a new job, and the senior in the team said he needed to take the day off because of Islamist terrorism is making him depressed because he has a cousin in the IDF who's in danger. How can I deal with the situation without feeling like I'm swallowing my beliefs to secure my financial well-being? That's awesome. What do you do to that, dude? You just laugh, I guess. Just make fun of him. I don't know. Wow, he's from Argentina, mind you. Oh, nice. No, chatters, don't blast Hamas music in the workplace. Are you kidding me? You're going to get fired.
Care is a human right. They want to raise the minimum wage to a living wage.
Hassan
they want to
is
be able
ours.
to live in housing that they can afford.
One of the things that you talked about here, as you've been talking about since even before it passed, is what the president calls his big, beautiful bill. Cuts to Medicaid, other programs. 25% of West Virginians receive Medicaid, 15% rely on food stamps. And yet, as I mentioned, West Virginians overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. How do you square that circle?
Well, that's a longer story that has to do with the failure of the Democratic Party in general to speak to the needs of the working class. This used to be, decades ago, one of the strongest Democratic states in the country. Now it's a strong Republican state because I think in many ways Democratic Party has turned its back on what was its base. But I think our job and what the reason I'm here and the reason we go to red states all over the country is to make it clear that there are some of us who are prepared to stand up for the working class. And if we stand together, if we're united, if we don't let Trump divide us up, there is no stopping what we can do as a nation in terms of improving life for ordinary people.
You said the Democratic Party is
These brain dead neolib questions, they can't like leftist policy because they didn't vote for neolib Dems.
its back on the working class. You'd said something pretty tough when you were speaking to this crowd about Kamala Harris.
One of the reasons, in my view, that Kamala Harris lost this election.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you criticize the queen?
She had too many billionaires telling her not to speak up for the working class of this country.
Ouch.
Well, no, I don't think that's, I like Kamala. She's a
Watching my senator ignoring Vermont issues, not to mention refusing to acknowledge the genocide that his constituents widely want him to, but being in another state is so frustrating. I think that's one of the craziest aspects of Bernie Sanders' legacy is that he's the second worst senator from Vermont on the issue of Gaza, which is insane. Like, there is no world in which there is another Democrat senator from Vermont and he's better on Gaza than Bernie Sanders is. Okay? That's mind-boggling. There's no point where you get outflanked. You're Bernie fucking Sanders, man. You don't get outflanked by Welch. Yeah, second best, which is first last. First last, sorry. I said second worst.
a friend of mine, but she was her core consultants, were heavily influenced by very wealthy people. How do you run for president and not develop a strong agenda which speaks to the economic crises facing working families? You have more income and wealth inequality today than we've ever had. You have 60% of our people living paycheck to paycheck. You got a healthcare system which is broken.
Welch also takes APAC money. Bernie doing it for the love of the game. Yeah, it is crazy. God, there was always a man. It's sad. I mean, look, it's one issue, and if Bernie Sanders stood in opposition to those who are far closer to the truth on Israel's genocide than him, then that would be one thing. But he's not. At the very least, he's not doing that. So, my expectations from Bernie Sanders are obviously far higher than the average congressperson, and it's a real shame that as the most visible, most popular Jewish political figure in this country, he's not using different language. Bro, he got outflanked by J Street. The president of J Street said it's a genocide, dude. I mean, that's crazy. At a certain point, you just gotta, come on, man, please. I know you're 90, but Jesus Christ, dude. The kibbutz are not coming back in the way that you experience them, okay? I'm not even talking about being outflanked by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't even want to bring that up because that's a deep shame. I'm talking there's a reason why I'm bringing up Welch or J Street, A literal liberal Zionist lobby for the state of Israel has come out and said Israel's doing a genocide. The president has said Israel's doing a genocide. Bernie Sanders still oh, it's Netanyahu's war. Genocide is a legal term. It's crazy. Unc really thinks labor Zionism is going to make a comeback. Yeah, he just thinks he's still stuck. He's like, you don't understand. David Ben-Gurion, he was a socialist. He was a national socialist. It's true.
And dysfunctional. And despite spending so much, we're the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people. How do you not talk about those issues?
She talked about affordability.
Well, but in a
goes to a kibbutz once against the liberals on his brainworms and senators called. This is why I didn't go on birthright. They put some kind of modified MDMA in the water to make you dance like an insane person to support the Jewish state no matter what. Okay, so what happened to Adam Friedland or Sam Cedar? I guess they didn't get the MDMA blend. They don't with Psytrance. What happened? He got outflanked by Tana Manga. Okay, dude, stop. Oh, it's killing my soul. It's killing my soul, dude. Hearing like random content creators that have a more decent opinion on what's going on, what Israel is doing, than such an important political figure for me personally. Oh God.
I don't want to rehash that campaign, but I think the clue to Democratic victories is to understand that you got to stand unequivocally with the working class of this country. You need an agenda that speaks to the needs of working people. Is it a radical idea that we join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people? Is that a radical idea? You tell me how many people are talking about that. Is it a radical idea to say that we've got to raise the minimum wage to $17 an hour? Is it a radical idea to say that in the midst of a competitive global economy, we need to make sure we have the best educated workforce, that all of our kids, regardless of income, should be able to get a higher education? These ideas exist all over the world. They don't exist in America. And they don't exist because of the power of the oligarchs economically and politically. All right, let's be clear. In my view, the current political system in the United States of America is broken and corrupt.
Bernie is like this because his advisors like Matt does, who are not relaying to him general opinion on Israel because they're ideologically evil. Dog, Matt Duss, I think, has outflanked Bernie. He's not his current advisor, by the way. I don't know who his current foreign policy guy is, but Matt Duss is his former foreign policy guy. And Matt Duss also outflanks Bernie. So there's nothing, you're wrong. This is just him, okay? I think this is just him. He's like, I'm old, I'm set in my ways, I personally believe this is the way, and this will be the way, and I'm just committed to it. Yeah, bro, we got outflanked by the Podjons, dude. Are you kidding me?
Does anybody think that it makes any sense at all that Elon Musk can spend $270 million to elect Trump as president and then become the most important person in government? Billionaires should not be able to buy elections. And by the way, that's not just a progressive perspective.
Wait, what's up with Matt Duss, Samus Adam? I mean, he's a little bit of a liberal. Matt Duss is. It's fine. I don't think he's like evil in the way that the chatter was presenting it. I feel like if I'm thinking about like someone who's evil, I'm thinking there is such a target rich environment, especially within the consulting class in American politics, that like a guy that works for, what's the institute that he works for? It's like an anti-war institute for the most part. Like a dude that works for the CI policy, like Center for International Policy Institute, is nowhere near in my crosshairs at all. It's probably one of the only existing good think tanks. Yeah, Quincy Institute and CI policy is like the two think tanks that are like advocating for more reasonable American foreign policy. Yeah, also Matt Duss, once again, former Bernie Sanders foreign policy advisor for Bernie Sanders, absolutely does call it a genocide, for the record, just so you guys understand. So the notion that this is like Matt Duss in his ear or whatever is wrong. You can't say it's J Street. J Street has called it a genocide. At a certain point, you have to realize, like, no, he's like 855 years old, and his liberal Zionist principles were just that. It wasn't a way to like, I don't know, make it more permissible to shit on Israel. It was just like he literally does want it to stop right there. He wants it to stop it with not like Zionism in principle, but he wants it to stop at like offensive weapons to Israel as long as they're using it on like Palestinian children. And given how insanely cruel and violent American Congress is, he looks like a angel in comparison to the average American congressperson. That's what's so about the situation, is that Bernard Netanyahu's War Sanders is like literally seemingly a angel in comparison to the rest of American Congress for actively trying to push bills to stop giving weapons to Israel. Like he has spearheaded that charge. He has spearheaded that charge forever.
Conservatives understand that too.
What makes you so sure that the solution that you're offering, which is a more assertive federal government, is something that is going to fly in places where people have been voting in recent years Republican and have an inherent distrust of government?
Well, they should, and they should have a distrust for a number of reasons. The government is too bureaucratic and not responsive. But, and let me tell you what I'm sure you already know, is that if you look at the polling, and I asked the people here today, you heard me ask.
Anybody here think that the American healthcare system is vaguely effective?
Nobody in America thinks it's working. We spend twice as much as other countries, 85 million uninsured or underinsured. 60,000 people die a year because they can't get to a doctor on time. Do you think that in America, with all of our genius, all of our capability?
Oh my God. Dan Stalkman, this is where a lot of these haters were coming from. I just saw this on my timeline. So Democrats, if they were in charge right now, would be doing 100% the exact same thing, 1-to-1. Make no over U.S. Supreme Court overturned landmark same-sex marriage ruling ABC. Okay. Mistake. I was wondering where all these like new libshits were coming from, yelling at me, chirping
Anyone
at
who
me.
tries to tell you that Kamala Harris will be different is a delusional moron. Do not listen to them.
So, 18-second clip. I wonder what this is about. Oh, look at that. You pulled out of context clips to justify your hatred for leftists. He's talking about her stance with Israel, not defending him, but he's talking about something specific or just in general. As much as I hate Hassan, this is clear about Palestine war situation, a very, very rare time when he is correct. He's probably talking about supporting Israel or something in this clip, not literally every single policy. He's specifically talking about giving aid to Israel. These clips will never not be hilarious. What a great out of context clip. I didn't even know that this existed, but it turns out there was hella people that were defending different than Donald Trump. You guys are delusional. If Kamala Harris genuinely had a perspective that was even a little bit different than Donald Trump when it comes to Israel and defending Israel, she would have let it known. She would have let it be known right now. It's like an 80-20 issue. It's like a 90-20, 90-10 issue at this point. It's a 90-10 issue for the Democratic Party, and she still hasn't said anything about, like, why hasn't Trump actually implemented a ceasefire? Wow. Almost like when you expand on the 18 seconds and even if you show the rest of the thing that I'm looking at, instead of like classic zooming in on me to make sure that no one can even mistakenly figure out the context. People are so gross, dude. This is the only thing these dipshits have at their disposal. They know nobody likes Israel. They know nobody with Israel. They can't even hit me on the grounds that I'm a terrorism supporter any longer, because that would imply that, 92% of the Democratic Party's base of support is also terrorism supporters. These guys still maintain the position that they are a part of the liberal Democratic Party advocacy. Well, that clip chimp was really bad. Well, welcome to my life. They do this every day, a million times a day. Yeah, there's like a 55-year-old man too, the one that's doing this. Thought he was going to be a peaceful president. She didn't say any of those things. Why? She's no longer running for president. If she truly was this peaceful dove, as all these dickhead Democrats kept telling me over and over again, why has she not said anything? Hasan, if you didn't have haters, none of us would know who you are. It's because you are effective. Yeah, the funniest is when people turn around and they're like, well, in this instance, Hasan is right. Extremely rare Hasanabi W. It's like, okay, well, maybe you should listen to some of the other takes as well. Don't let anybody move the goalposts on this, by the way. I'm talking specifically about Israel. Okay? In terms of like mass deportations, I'm sure mass deportations will still be happening under the Democrats, as this always has happened under the Democrats. It just wouldn't be as gross as it is currently with Donald Trump. But Democrats play a different role when it comes to deportations in this country. They play the role of calcifying right-wing white nativist immigration policies, as they did this past election cycle. Breaking the fourth wall. Think you even clarified you pre-watched the haters, and he's still wrong. You'll notice everything around Gaza got 10x worse the second Trump got elected. It's almost like Netanyahu was begging for Trump to be elected. 10x worse? What the Joe Biden literally at this stage, well, we don't know the official numbers, but Joe Biden at this stage allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to kill even more Palestinians. What is that? What kind of take is this? The genocide was already happening by the time Donald Trump came into office. What do you mean? Are they doing a harder genocide? Like, what are you talking about? The famine alert was issued during Biden-Harris admin, and they sided with Netanyahu. The war crime indictment for using food as a weapon was issued during the Biden-Harris admin, and they sided with Netanyahu. Biden-Harris admin also defunded UNRWA, crippling aid work. Yep. They set the stage for Donald Trump to slam dunk that genocide in even further. It is pretty crazy that they still try to do this shit, though. Like, who is this for? You know what I mean? Who is this for? 2 million views, dunking on a clip where we have no context as to what specific issue. Wait, did they take it out of context? No way. No, that's just what Dan does. He's psychotically obsessed and needs to lie in order to deflect from his pedophilic complicity and genocide support. We should be thankful it's all documented online forever. Yeah. It is pretty wild. I don't know. I guess people will just like continue to cast blame on people who are ostensibly on their side, you know? I guess that's how it goes. Like, because I suspect that a lot of these people who are actively upset about this are people who are Democrats. So they're supposed to be closer to my side of politics than they are to the Republicans. Probably even closer to my side of politics than this dipshit. You know? It's funny because he like had to zoom in to further erase the context as well. I think his content is only for your hardest haters audience. It's so funny how these conversations are just them spinning their wheels. They have so little actual political knowledge that they can't even discuss politics or do anything meaningful except hang off of our nuts. Meanwhile, the left is electing the new New York City mayor. You're meeting international politics and actually organizing and pushing for real shit. I know, but I just wish I wasn't getting ass blasted with regular frequency by these dumb who can manipulate people in the margins. You know what I mean? I can't quote tweet it because he blocked me and I blocked him. So I can't even quote tweet him. He just does this from behind the block. It's just like, there's a lot of money to be made doing this too. A lot of these people are basically doing the premature anti-fascist commentary. Oh, you were an anti-fascist, but prematurely before everyone else came on board with it, right? And therefore, you must be wrong. It's like, okay, well, you arrived at my position. Have some grace. Have some decency. Not Dan. Dan is a Zionist, ultra-Zionist, a genocidal piece of shit. But, you know, all the other people that are like actively looking for some kind of own against the left, you know, against the quote-unquote left. Have you seen your ex-co-host blaming the Nakba on the Arabs? No, I don't care. Let him chirp into an increasingly smaller audience, please. It is utterly irrelevant. He is so desperate for someone like myself or anyone else to be at odds with so that he could just like turn around and make content off of it. I don't want to give him that. Please stop bringing that shit up here. Nobody asked. Oh, by political ideology, 70% of liberals are voting Zohran Mamdani. 37% of moderates are voting Andrew Cuomo. 27% Zohran Mamdani. And the conservatives are 40% on Curtis Sliwa. And 23% of conservatives are going for Zohran Mamdani. Wow. Wow. 23% of conservatives are voting for Zohran Mamdani. What the My man is popping, dude. Red Brown Alliance confirmed. Time to cancel him. Yeah. It's weird seeing Bernie theory vindicated 10 years later. Zohran doing better than Andrew Cuomo and Adams with conservatives is fantastic. Maybe a bunch of still think he's Italian. Mamdani, that sounds Italian. He's just as brown as my Sicilian cousin. What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to vote for the Italian over anybody else. All right? Get the out of here. This Loki happened in 2020 with Reddit man is Fetterman. He's talking about Fetterman. It did, and then he turned out to be a dud. So we're not going to get into that. Yeah. Fetty Wap man. John Fetty Wap man.
Years ago.
Oh, here's the Zohran Mamdani release the Cuomo nuke. Zohran Mamdani.
Andrew Cuomo resigned in disgrace, and you probably know why.
The governor's office kept the nursing home death data secret.
Cuomo aggressively groped an aide.
Inappropriately touched a female state trooper.
Use of state resources for a COVID-19 memoir.
Less well known is what he spent the last 4 years doing, besides getting trounced in the Democratic primary. In 2022, Cuomo started Innovation Strategies LLC to represent individuals and corporations in a variety of matters. Definitely not vague. Last year, it raked in more than $500,000. Who paid for Cuomo's services? He refuses to say. But what journalists have been able to piece together is troubling. In April, Bloomberg revealed that Cuomo advised a cryptocurrency exchange based in the Seychelles as it faced federal investigations. Then in May, Politico reported that Cuomo failed to disclose $2.6 million in stock options to the New York City Conflicts of Interest Board. His excuse? The stocks were technically owned by Innovation Strategies LLC, of which he's the sole proprietor. Finally, in June, the New York Times uncovered that Cuomo had worked with his longtime friend Andrew Farkas on a luxury marina project in Puerto Rico. Farkas' previous partner on luxury marinas in the Caribbean? Jeffrey Epstein.
We had a finance chair like none other, Andrew Farkas.
That's the thing about Andrew Cuomo. Once you think you found out about all of his scandals, you find out about another, and then probably another. But if my friend, the disgraced former governor of the state of New York, feels that's unfair, Habibi, release your client list.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait, this is what he replied to the
$300 for my 1-bedroom in Astoria.
$300 for my 1-bedroom in Astoria.
That's crazy. Admin, I know you're absolutely stealing money from the Cuomo campaign with this bullshit, and I begrudgingly respect it. Bruh, there is no way Andrew Cuomo's team replied to a commercial calling Cuomo a serial sexual harasser with, oh, well, you are in a $2,300 bedroom in Astoria. 1-bedroom apartment in Astoria. That is crazy. Yeah, release the Cuomo files on a that Cuomo account is being ran by a bot for sure. It auto replies to comments. Changing where you stand every sentence is the political ad equivalent of keeping consumers' attention with Subway surfers. Yeah. Cuomo be like, the Epstein angle is the one I expected. They criticize people like Hasan Piker when they own a more expensive home. They criticize you when you pay slightly less than rent prices that are way too high. You literally can't win. Schrodinger's leftist. Yeah. Oh, for sure. By the way, it's kind of funny because I used to say, like, if I lived in a more affordable house, then would literally say I'm stealing that house from someone who deserves it more. And now I don't have to point to that hypothetical because it's literally happening. Okay? It's straight up happening right now. If I lived in a different state, for example, they say I'm doing tax evasion. Okay? I went to a different state for tax shelter purposes. If I lived in an apartment that was cheaper than the current house that I own, they would say, oh, you're taking that from someone who is more worthy, more deserving of that apartment. You're stealing it from someone else who should be paying for it. You're taking it away from someone. Okay? If I lived in a cheaper neighborhood, they say you're gentrifying that neighborhood. The point has never been socialism but house. The point is socialism. That's the point. They just hate that. And they can't contend with the policies that I'm advocating for, the policies Zoran's advocating for. So they have to find some other thing to get mad about. And a lot of dumb actually eat that bait so goddamn hard. They do. And they go along with it. They don't realize that, like, the things that I'm advocating for, I'm unironically advocating for you. You know? Chris Cillizza, Democratic Party record low in Gallup polling. Top rope by Chris Toesucker Cillizza. Chris show me the piggies Cillizza. What a name. We've forgotten about this man. He's an independent news creator now. He left mainstream media and he just kind of went away. It's because you keep tweeting and making them look bad. What are you talking about? I don't know. Google it. Fantastic. At a time when the Democrats are supposed to be automatically better than the Republicans by just simply existing as not the party that is responsible for the ICE raids that are happening all around, and the party that is no longer in charge to also inadequately deal with the cost of living crisis, they're still unable to improve their numbers. And perhaps there's a reason for it. It's because they need 1,000 Zorons. That's it. But instead, they get 1,000 Pete Buttigieg's who go on the Podjons to be like, oh, well, we're going to start discussing the potentials for doing what? Oh, that's right. Here it is. DNC will consider 2 Gaza resolutions at a meeting this month. One submitted by DNC Chair Ken Martin calls for ceasefire and 2-state solution on left. One from progressive DNC members calls for arms embargo and recognizing Palestine as a state. An immediate ceasefire and arms embargo, suspension of military aid to Israel, and also on top of that, recognition for Palestine as a country. Oh God, I Googled the Chris Feet thing and it's so gross. Well, you did that. To be fair, you also go on the Podjons. Yeah, the problem is not going on the Podjons. The problem is going on the Podjons and having a wishy-washy position on Israel that even the Podjons outflank you on. That's Pete Buttigieg. That's the future of the Democratic Party. And if the Democrats don't, I don't know. I'm done, man. I don't know. It's just like, who am I speaking to? Why am I speaking? Why do I consistently advocate for the things I'm advocating for? It falls on deaf ears. You got these dickheads in the White House now. Benny Johnson. Will the president consider giving Presidential Medal of Freedom to big balls?
Consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to big balls.
Like, the Democrats are losing to this. to this, to that. Not only are they fascists, which is an indictment in and of itself, but like they're also unimaginably incompetent fascists. Okay, they're lame. They're whole ass lames, dude. They're so goddamn lame. They're weirdos. They're gross. They're weird. They're like sexually perverse. They talk about the weirdest shit. They got Benny Johnson in the White House asking about big balls, man. They're like, hey, can Big Balls get a medal, please, for getting his ass beat by 2 15-year-old teenagers, please? That's crazy.
I haven't spoken to him about that, but perhaps it's something he would consider. I'll ask him and get back to you, Benny.
Man. Yeah, Medicare for balls. A 15-year-old girl beat Big Balls' ass, bro. Allegedly. And now they're demanding a medal. Please give me a medal for getting my ass beat by a 15-year-old girl, please. Who the f is still part of the Democratic majority for Israel? Democratic majority for Israel urges the DNC to reject the second Gaza resolution. For context, here's the preamble. DMFI condemns it for not mentioning 10-7 or Hamas. Who is this for? There is no more Democratic majority for Israel, brother. Maybe for Democratic majority for Israel's demise, I think. There is a majority for that. I don't think there's a majority, Democratic or not, that is in defense of Israel. The only place where you can find a Democratic majority in defense of Israel is going to be Congress. That's it. And everybody hates them. Certainly not in the Democratic Party. The majority of Congress, maybe, but not the majority of the population. For the Democratic Party, especially, this is a 92-8% issue. 92-8. 92-8. What are we doing? What do you need? 99-1? So you're saying the Democrats don't support Israel? Do you not hear the words coming out of my mouth? The Democratic voters do not support Israel. They do not. Maybe they're not at the same position that I'm at. They will eventually get there. Give it a couple more months and they'll be getting to the positions that I was at a year ago. Okay. Like, who here genuinely thinks that this is going to get better for Israel? How stupid do you have to be? How dumb are you to think in your mind that this is not the most popular day that Israel will ever be? This is not the day that Israel will be the most popular it'll ever be going forward. Yesterday was also the most popular Israel would ever be in Western society. It's less popular today, and it will be even less popular tomorrow. Why do these people think? I guess they don't think, really, because, like, how can you be an adult, like a Harvard-educated adult who's been doing politics for as long as you have, and you still assume that there is going to be some kind of change, some kind of sea change when the dust settles, and people are just going to be like, oh, actually, Israel's genocide was awesome. You keep sounding shocked at this, like you don't know that the electorate's interests don't come anywhere near the policy of the one-party state you live in. How do you keep being shocked at this? It can't and won't work. Otherwise, especially in the late-stage neoliberal polarization we're going through. Yeah, no shit, dude, okay? The reason why I'm doing commentary in the way that I'm doing commentary is because there are still people who are coming on board, okay? If I were to spend every day being like, this is uniparty, which I do explain that all the time. But if I just like constantly talked about it from that angle, people get annoyed and bored. If you noticed, I'm also not consistently shocked at the Democrats' inability, but like they still do have a capacity to surprise me because it's such a ridiculous division. It's just like, what do you want? You want people to just be like, no, you have to literally invade Israel? Like, is that the demand? Because it feels like no, the more radical the position gets on the ground, the more Democrats love conceding. It turns out they're just concession machines. So if they hear people go like, no, we have to militarily invade Israel now, only then will they go, okay, we should stop all weapons to Israel. They have to only concede. They don't have any interest in actually coming to a conclusion on their own. Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.